Hi friends, welcome and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Ev, and on this channel I like to talk about all things knitting, and today I decided to sit down with you guys and talk about some of the projects that I've been working on, where I'm up to with my knits, and what is now finished. So the last time we caught up was probably August, end of August, beginning of September, and we are now end of October. So it's been quite a while. I thought today would be the perfect day to sit down with you guys and just talk about some patterns and what's been on my needles. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is, of course, what I'm wearing, and that is the sweater number 15 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. So this was my very first cable knit sweater that I made. And honestly, I love it. I knit it in Drops Flora and Drops Kid Silk Mohair. The mohair was sage, and then the green Flora yarn, which is an alpaca, I think it was a yarn that is alpaca heavy with a little bit of wool, if I remember. The mix, the green was apple something. So the sweater was knit up in two different shades of green, but together they kind of create like a smoky, I don't know, I find the sweater has a nice unique color to it. The sweater has a really like intense drape, and sweater number 15 is a sweater that if you've knit it up, you know that it grows. The cables just like expand and grow. So the sweater is pretty big, pretty loose. I feel like it fits pretty nice. Like especially the sleeves, I feel became really, really droopy. So that is what I'm wearing today. I don't really have that many finished knits. I ended up casting on a lot this month, but one of my finished knits is my Ranunculus. So this is what it looks like. And honestly, I'm in love with it. I've been wearing it a lot, especially since it's been getting colder. I've been wearing it like under sweaters and with coats, and it's just a nice kind of in between really chunky heavy knits and the end of summer. I mean, it's fall now, but yeah. My Ranunculus was knit up with Fibre Natura Papyrus, and it is 77% cotton, 23% silk. I still have a skein left. I think I have a little bit of the fourth skein. So in the end, this used up 3 skeins and like more than half of the fourth skein. I did do some modifications on my Ranunculus. I cast it on the wide neck option, but I knit it on smaller needles so it would be smaller. I then didn't do the ribbing. I did a 3-stitch I-cord, and I knit this on smaller needles. So I knit the entire shirt. I think you're supposed to use 6mm needles. I used 5.5 all over, and then I used 5mm needles for the I-cord so that it would be a little bit smaller. I did that for both sleeves and for the bottom of the shirt as well. However, for the bottom of the shirt, I think I used the 5.5mm needles. I didn't change the size of the needles for that one. I also knit 12 inches for the body after splitting for the sleeve. I was following someone else's version of the Ranunculus. I really like the way that theirs turned out. I think they went for even smaller needles, so for them the shirt is even more form-fitting. Mine still has a positive ease and is still like a loose drapey shirt. That also ended up creating a deeper yoke than the person that I was following. I think their yoke just ended up being here, where mine kind of covers more my chest area and like, yeah. But yeah, so that is my version of the Ranunculus. Honestly, if you guys haven't knit this one up, it's a really fun pattern. I knit this in probably like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It really went super, super quick. I think this is one of my favorite shirts that I've knit up in my wardrobe right now. And it has to do with the pattern, but it also has to do with the yarn. The yarn is super soft. It works up really, really well. And I just like the finish. I like how kind of chaotic and chunky the stitches look, because the yarn has like a really interesting texture to it. So another alteration that I did was I picked up the stitches for the sleeve, and instead of doing the rib, I knit, I think 3 or 4 inches, and then did the I-cord. I think the pattern, if you don't do the long sleeve version, it makes you separate for the body and the sleeve, and then just like act that is your sleeve wherever you separate for. It doesn't ask you to keep knitting, like to pick up the stitches and keep knitting a little bit more in stockinette. But I did that. So the next knit that I finish isn't a knitwear, but it is knitting nonetheless. So I know Halloween hasn't passed at all, yet I'm someone who's very into Christmas and very into the holidays, so I decided to get a little bit of a head start. So I found some free patterns over on Ravelry, and to get a little bit of a head start, a little bit of a jump start, I decided to kind of decorate my tree this year with some hand knit ornaments, and I made some little mushrooms. Now they're not entirely done. I still need to do the little embroidered seed like dots on the top to be a proper toad mushroom. I could also just leave them like this. But can you guess which one was made first and which one was made second? This is the first one. It's so ugly compared to the second one. So I can only imagine the third and fourth mushroom are gonna look even better as I go. I'm probably gonna make as many as I can along with other different types of ornaments. They're really quick to work up. I think it took me less than an hour to make each, and I just stuffed them with some random stuffing that I had. So this is Sandnes Garn Duo for both colors. It's just leftover scrap yarn that I had from a past project. So I made those. And then yesterday I made a little pretzel. So this kind of looks like a little poop right now, but it's okay. Hopefully once I add the little salted seeds, I add little beads to become little sea salt, just like sprinkled on top. It's gonna look a lot better. I'm not as satisfied with this one as I am with my mushrooms. This was knit up in Drops Nord. Again, some leftover yarn that I had. And I knit this one on double pointed needles. It was a lot easier of a knit to do, but it's just the folding of my pretzel that I'm not entirely satisfied with. Maybe my second pretzel will be better because I still have a lot of yarn. I have this much yarn left. I'm not gonna use up all this yarn. Like I'm not gonna make 50 pretzels, but I'm gonna make as many ornaments as I can, different varieties, and yeah. I think the knit that I've had the longest on the needle so far is my Cumulus Tee by Petite Knit, and this is it. I finally got some needles to cast it back on since the whole airport issue. I've been working on it very slowly. It takes, oh my God, it takes so long to just get an inch of knitting done. I think the pattern makes you measure it from the back of the neck down for the body length, and I think I'm still missing 8 inches, 8 or 9 inches. I have 12 right now. So yeah, this is what it looks like. I am currently using 2 strands of a alpaca, baby alpaca lace weight, and this is from this yarn was from Kensington Prairie Farms, and it's from a cone. I think I've shown you guys this cone before. I actually used it for my Elizabeth blouse, this one, but that one was 3 strands held together. That what created a sport weight, and for this pattern you need a light fingering, so hence the 2 strands alone. So this is taking me so long, guys. I now understand the pain of people who knit this and say it takes them forever. This is just like, so my Elizabeth blouse is kind of a little bit on the warm side because alpaca is warm, and then 3 strands together, I guess, made a really, it's more of a dense fabric. This one's a little bit more like loose, lightweight and soft because it's just 2 strands. So I'm really curious to see when I wear it what the difference is between both. But yeah. Another project that I bought yarn for in Turkey is the time skip collar. I casted it on right after I finished the Ranunculus, so this has been on my needles for probably 2 weeks now. This is what it looks like, well, the back. And then the front is I'm missing the plakelets, the place where you put the zipper, like the flap, because yeah, this is gonna have a zipper closing it. So this is what it looks like. And then you put your arms in here. I did a little I-cord bind off under the rib. So this is a rib. Maybe I could put it on over my knit. It's just this project is at a little bit of an awkward state right now. I did buy a zipper for it, so I have all that. I just need to, yeah, knit the place where I can put the zipper. So this is a really chunky sweater underneath it. What am I doing? It's not showing you anything, huh? But yeah, so it's like a little fake collar. I thought that this was a very unique and different pattern, and I just really wanted to try it and see if I could make it. It is a free pattern on Ravelry. I'm knitting it in Fibra Natura Donna, and this is a navy blue with a white. I think this is just like the off-white, not the the natural white, not the crisp white. This yarn has been working up super, super well. It's a DK weight yarn, and I've decided to do this in navy blue and white, but then match the color of the original picture. So this is a free pattern on Ravelry, and the only thing that is a little bit annoying about it is the pattern doesn't tell you when to change color. So it'll tell you all the instructions are there, everything is written properly, but for example, it doesn't tell you to change color for the I-cord. I just copied what I saw in the picture on the pattern. And then for the collar, I also kind of made my own. I found the person on Instagram and I found other pictures of this exact knit. So I counted the amount of stitches roughly that they had for the white and then for the stripes. I don't know, I think mine look a little bit different, but basically still I really like it. But yeah, that's the only thing. The pattern doesn't tell you when to change color, which is a little bit weird. The short rows were written in an interesting way as well. They were written in a chart instead of like actual, like each size has different short row counts. So they're written in a chart. This has been a very fun knit and it's working up really well. I'm very excited for it to be able to wear it soon. So the next one is from Sandnes Garn, Tema 72. So I think that's book 72. Norwegian icons, and basically I picked this up in hopes to knit a sweater for my boyfriend and for me, a matching sweater, have matching sweaters that, I don't know. I thought it would be really cool and fun, and I really like the designs in this book because they're all like color work options and they're really pretty. Like look at this men's, like that's crazy. That's not the one I'm making him. That's another really pretty one. But all this to say, I showed him the book and was like, you can pick a sweater and I will make it for you. And the one that he chose is this sweater. So this is the sweater that I'm going to be making for him. It is now I'm not going to be able to say this. It is the Nordsjø Genser. Nordsjø Genser? No, I can't say it. Of course, I would have loved to knit him a surprise, but if I want him to really wear it, he needs to know about it and he needs to be in the decision. Interestingly enough, the sweater is a bottom-up knit. I really don't like bottom-up knits. I have a hard time gauging like sizes and figuring out, yeah, I don't know. It's just I can't visualize the size of a shirt that I'm making when it's bottom-up. But this is where I'm at. I can't really fully show you because like the needles are too small. The cable is too small as always. But yeah, so I did the bottom rib and I did a couple inches of the bottom of the sweater. So the sweater is originally supposed to be knit up in Peer Gynt, which is a Sandnes Garn yarn. But feeling it at the store, it felt a little bit too rustic and itchy for him. So I decided to do the switch because Peer Gynt is a DK weight. I am knitting it in Double Sunday, which is also a DK weight yarn. And I am meeting the gauge, which is 20 stitches for 4 inches with this yarn. I did have to go up a needle size. So the yarn calls, oh no, my stitches. 1 second. So I'm using US 7, which is 4.5 millimeter needles, and the pattern calls for US 6, which is 4 millimeter needles, just so I could meet the gauge of 20 stitches per 4 inches. But honestly, this is working up really well. It's a really fun knit, and I can't wait for him to be able to try it on at some point because like, okay, well, it's all jumbled at the bottom. But yeah, it's just like, I don't like bottom ups. Why? I haven't worked on a color work project in a really long time, but would you look at the inside of the sweater? So many floats, although they're relatively really short floats, but still. So my issue with bottom up knits is that you have to knit so much more to figure out the size, like if it'll fit, compared to top down. You can like just do less increases to see like how big, like let's say for this shirt, I find this too big. I would kind of still have to knit a big chunk of the body before realizing that, whereas top down, I can kind of stop the increases where I want to. I don't know, it just makes more sense to me that way. Yeah. So if you've been on my channel for a little while, you'll remember that I had knit up this sweater. So this is the everyday knit sweater, and I knit this up and in the hopes to write up a pattern for it. So it is a turtleneck with ribbing that goes down the sleeve into the ribbing of the cuff with some more ribbing detail on the side, and then a nice little thick rib at the bottom. So this was knit up in a DK weight from Kensington Prairie Farm. So it is an alpaca yarn, and it was held with a pink mohair from Drops Kid Silk Mohair. I actually really love the color of this yarn and the thickness of the rib. I love this sweater so much. I wear it a lot. It's really warm and soft. And the reason why the pattern it's still being worked up is because since knitting it, I've worn it a bunch of times, and there were little things that always kind of bothered me about the fit, and I just didn't feel I wanted to make it like I want to be proud of the pattern that I put out for a sweater. So I've been trying different techniques, but also different designs, like modifications for it that I think would make it just that little bit better. So that's kind of what I've been doing. But I've been doing it with this brown. So this is a yarn from, where's this yarn from? I think this is Cumbria Fiber Co. And I'm knitting it with a tin silk mohair this time. So this is the yarn. This is the sweater, what I'm working up. And honestly, I've unraveled this sweater like 6 or 7 times already. This is the furthest I've gotten. The problem that I was having with it, and that took me so long, was the length of the turtleneck. So I doubled in length to be able to fold it because I thought I always felt the need to fold that collar. So I really wasn't sure. I made so many different versions of collar before landing on this exact length. And the short rows, I wanted to try different techniques for the short rows, different placements for the short rows. And I think this is the one that I'm going to go with. Like I kept getting a lot of material at the front, or it would be too much material at the back. The short rows were too long, short rows were too short. And I just kept playing around with them, which would result in the rib that goes from the collar to the sleeve. It would end up in different placements because my stitch count would then be different. And honestly, as I've been knitting on other knits, this one has always been on the sidelines, and just like, I just keep coming back to it because I really want the sweater to work. So now I'm at a part where I need to cake up more yarn, which I haven't caked up yarn for the sweater in really long because I just kept unraveling. But I'm also at a part where I can split up for the sleeves now. So hopefully this will be done soon, and I could just add the new grading to the new measurements because it does have a different fit, slightly different than my other one, which means all the math that I had previously done no longer works. So I will have to be grading this one again. But I'm actually really glad about the sweater and how it's turning out to be, and I just love the tweed in this brown, and with a mohair it just adds a little softness to it. I can't wait to actually get this done and be able to wear it. I think that kind of wraps up all of my knits that I'm working on and that I finished. But for my spinning, if you guys watched last week's video, you'll know that I actually finished my hand spun yarn, which is insane. I've been working on this since May. Yeah. And if you guys haven't watched that video yet, I highly recommend you do, because yeah, this is the yarn that I've created. It's 100% Gotland wool. It's a worsted weight, I would say, with a little bit of Aran and a little bit of DK, because my spin isn't 100% consistent, but I love it. I'm gonna go actually wash these today so that I can compare pre-wash, after wash, and then find, I've been saving so many different patterns on Ravelry that I'm thinking about knitting with this, so I thought that it would be fun to maybe talk about this next time. So that is my little current spin update and where I'm at with my spin. My spinning wheel is right there, but it's also empty for the very first time since May, which is exciting, because now what am I going to spin? Who knows? I already have a new project lined up, which I think you're going to find very exciting as well if you're into spinning and learning about different fibers. It's another big challenge, but it's going to be a little bit more of a long-term challenge, although this one did take like 6 months to make. The next one's going to be even more long-term, if that makes sense. So thank you guys so much for stopping by, spending this little time with me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!